Hi, Lana.
Hi, Emerson.
How are
How-
you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So
Good.
tell me a story and what got you here.
Sure. Okay, jumping right into it. Yeah. Cool. Well, my mom and my brother listen to you, watch your YouTube videos, and um they recommended you. And basically, my mom, I remember her reading spiritual books like ever since I was a kid, like really young. And so I kind of grew up in that like mindset of like spirituality and being exposed to different teachers. The first time I started listening to any teacher was probably Michael Singer when I was a teenager.
Okay.
And then I didn't really take it seriously. But it felt good.
Yeah.
Uh, and then when I was probably like 19 or 20, I went on retreat to Francis Lucille with my mom about twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was cool. It wasn't. I wasn't really resonating with it, but yeah, I just did it. And then university happened and I was like consumed with that, whole thing. And at
Mhm.
the time, my mom started following someone else in our hometown. Her name was Gurpreet, and we all kind of got into Gurpreet for a bit.
Okay.
And and then I stopped, and life took over again. And I moved to Vancouver, where I currently live in
Oh,
Canada.
nice. I love
Yeah,
Vancouver.
yeah, I remember watching your one-on-ones. You used to live here, so it was cool to hear you talk about it. Yeah,
Whereabouts are you?
I'm an East fan.
Okay, cool. I like East. Yeah.
Yeah, East End's rad. I love it here. It's a
Yeah.
cool vibe. Um, and then on my own accord, sort of without the influence of family, my mom, I got into Eckhart for a bit. And
Okay.
then almost exactly a year ago, I just got really into Adyashanti. And I remember being alone on Christmas and just watching like 6 to 8 hours of Adyashanti every day and sitting and like meditating and kind of just been watching those videos for like hours every day for the last year-ish. And honestly, I feel like I just became this really serious person, like so serious, and I hadn't felt like joyful anymore, and I thought I had to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And it felt a lot like depression and just like everything lacked flavor in life. And I do improv, and so
Oh,
I
no.
was
That's awesome. I like improv.
it's so fun and it's really cool, except for when you're like, oh, nothing matters, words don't matter, everything is like
Yeah.
meaningless. It kind of that had a like a depressing nature on me rather than like an uplifting one. So
Yeah.
I, it affected my ability to like experience joy and see comedy as a fun thing anymore. Um, and a few weeks ago, my mom was like, hey, this Emerson guy is pretty cool. Here's a video, check him out. And I did. And I probably watched like 20, 30 of your
Oh, my goodness.
one-on-ones. Yeah. And I don't know, I just like you were being you. And I was like, wow, could I just be me and still do this thing? Like I can still be really weird and just like myself. And I don't have to be like a monk. Um, and that resonated. And so, even though I got a lot of clarity from your one-on-ones, I really wanted the chance to be here with you because it
Oh,
stick, I
thank
guess.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it's very simple, right? Because I went through what you went through too. I got a little bit depressed and I became I'm sure you know my story now, so I'm not going to repeat it. Um,
I'd hear it.
so yeah, I became like really serious. I was like a fun guy before. I used to go to raves, you know what I'm saying? And then I became a corporate dude, and I was still fun as a corporate dude, basically, right? And I thought there was something wrong with making money. So I gave it up and I became a spiritual teacher. I had my first, Kundalini awakening, whatever, first awakening, or then I was in love with it, which happened in Vancouver, by the way.
Oh,
Um, and And then so I became this spiritual teacher. And then the people that I had to look up to were like Adyashanti, Muji, Rupert. They were all just very somber, you know,
Yeah, I know.
talking about, right? I'm like, where's,
Yeah.
and then I felt that I had to adhere to that.
Yeah.
And it was killing me. Like I went with a friend that was just a really kind of like brutally honest friend. And I said, someone kissed my feet today. And to me, that was the catalyst of like, get me out of here. And then, you know what, to cut the long story short, so when I was just, then I became anxious. I had like severe panic attacks, and I was living life in the extremes. Like I'll be a saint and I'll be kind of like a party animal of the opposite spectrum of it, especially in Vancouver, the party scene in Vancouver. Um, so I was like leading a double life. I'm like, how can I go back into that just a fun guy?
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
between, the sinner and the saint, what's there?
I don't know. Me,
Yeah. Let's even go further. What's between me and no me?
I I don't even I can't even answer that. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
My mind wants to find an answer to it, but there's no answer because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So seeking doesn't make sense because there's something here that is so authentic, so raw, so alive, right? But it's peace. At peace with, it's almost kind of like this empty space where everything is allowed, nothing is denied. So be as weird as you can, as funny as you are. You don't have to adhere to anyone's idea about what this is, right? Because it just becomes authority figures, and you think that you have to go to a monastery now or contemplate and be aware or whatever. But
Yeah.
but the freedom that is free from all ideas of freedom is at this moment when there's just a blank slate, when there's just authenticity, when there's just this, when you're not second guessing yourself, when you don't have to follow whatever ideas that it has to be to become enlightened or awake or whatever. Throw away all of that and come into this moment where what are you without language at this moment?
I don't know.
Yeah. In this space, the in between, there's really no in between. It's like a trick. It's almost like it's between thinking and not thinking what's there.
Yeah, that question always stumped me because it's so nonsensical.
It is.
Is the purpose, am I right? Like, is the purpose just to be like, I have no fucking idea? Like,
So if you have no ideas, then
yeah,
you are the idea. So what's between idea and no ideas? It's almost like where that space between where artists create the great masterpieces, where the great athletes do that home run, and all that kind of stuff. It's in that moment without a thought, although thinking is happening. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's just this clarity without any kind of comprehension of what this is. It's almost like there's this blank slate. But in
yeah,
that blank slate, everything is teeming with aliveness, with creativity. You can be funny again.
yeah, but it's so stupidly simple. Like,
It
I know,
is.
but then there's nothing to do. But then there's literally nothing to do.
That's just an idea again. What's between nothing to do and something to do? So the mind wants to, you know, kind of like land at somewhere, right? So,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so go in between. You know what? We'll go through layers, right? So, for example, at this moment, what are you without your thoughts?
Like a meat sack.
What do you, even without that thought of a meat sack?
I I there's
It's
no, there's no words. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna,
it's like
I'm gonna say this, but like
yeah, it's almost like going back into that when you're a baby, when everything is like, and the baby laughs and cries and smiles and whatever, right? So it's free to do anything without thinking that, oh, it's wrong to smile or wrong to cry,
yeah,
wrong to be fun, not funny, or, it's wrong to be a goof, basically.
yeah,
There's this freshness to it, right? So when there is, it's almost like this is a deprogramming of all you thought you have to be when you're listening to Adyashanti, right?
yeah,
Because you get caught up in that idea. It's almost like you got programmed to think
yeah.
that, yeah. So this is a deprogramming, basically. So I'm happy that you listen to 20 to 30 videos, right? Because it's big.
Probably more.
What's that?
Probably more.
Probably.
However, there
Well,
are all.
I think there's like, I don't know how many, like 200 now. Like, I don't know.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I love showing that, because I love showing the differences in all of those undoings, because it doesn't have to look a certain way.
Yeah, that's what blows my mind. It's like there's no way for this to look, right? Like there's no way because some people say it's so ordinary and some people say it's so extraordinary.
Exactly.
And I'm going, did I well, maybe.
But those are just another opinions and ideas about what this should be, right?
Yeah.
In between those opinions, a fresh, clean slate of whatever seems to appear as it is, right? So it could be jumping up for joy, it could be like meh. It could be just like, okay, you know what?
Sometimes it's so meh. It's often so meh.
It's often meh. Yeah, I know. Because you're so caught up in that programming that it has to be this ta-da, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
ah, right?
Yeah.
It's not a aha, right? It's just, oh, it's almost like you're sobering up to those ideas. It's like an intoxication. It's like you had an addiction to go to the next, to the next, to the next. You're waiting to see those thousands of faces that Adyashanti saw when it was a Buddhist or something, right?
Yeah,
But
all these
that's his
words
version
floating.
of it.
Yeah.
There's just not one. There's 8 billion characters here, eight different, 8 billion different characteristics, and even our thumbprints are all different. Our eye prints, our walk prints. You know that we all walk differently.
I mean, makes
We all,
sense.
yeah. So why should the apparent awakening or dropping away of the self be the same?
It
It's
should
not.
no.
And that's why I love showing the differences in people, right? There's people that are crying. I don't know. I don't release actually people that are crying because people think that it has to be that way. No,
Fair.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, exactly. Those are the ones you see because they're awe-inspiring. They're dramatic. They're a
Yeah.
beautiful story.
Yeah.
They're
No, it could be just a sobering experience, kind of like what's happened here, sobering up from all of that, right? It's not this, um, yeah, it doesn't have to be, why so serious? It doesn't have to be serious.
I don't want it to be serious.
Yeah.
I've been so serious and like
No.
feel good. It doesn't feel good.
Which comedy show do you go to? Which improv? Is it in
Yeah, I'm in a um I'm on a house team with Blind Tiger, which is a comedy school in Vancouver.
Nice?
So we have shows at like Little Mountain Gallery every month.
Nice.
And I run like an improv nonprofit community with some friends and we host jams and then I just do random shows here and there.
Oh, it's so East Man.
Yeah. It, it seriously is. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, you know what? Go back into that. Go back into that innocence and that freshness. Remember when you got first excited about improv?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Screw all of this spiritual non-duality crap, to be honest with you, because it will just bring you to a belief system. Because the moment that you believe somebody, you're believing that you have to be that certain way.
Yeah.
You believe that either you believe it's all awareness or it's no self or whatever, but those are just words. Who cares about words?
I think a big part of who cares about words? And yet, when you have habitually held on to words and feelings and like attached them together for so long, I mean, that bond is strong. Like
Oh, it is.
it's
Well,
re it's not going to be instantaneous then.
no, no, no. So this is a gradual. You've already watched the 30 videos, and this is kind of like a gradual undoing. Some people snap out of it. Some people that have been suffering so much, you know what I'm saying, that are just so caught up. And
Yeah.
the moment they give them, I get letters all the time of people that basically said, "Oh, I watched your video and I bawled for the whole day," that kind of thing. And then some people are like, "Yep, you know what? I've always known this kind of thing. I've seen how simple it is." But for you, it could be just how long were you listening to Adyashanti and all of these people?
I mean, I mean, audio was like a year, exactly a year from this
I
day,
went through my audio phase too. Like I devoured everything from him, right?
devoured multiple times.
Yeah. And now he's quit because of PTSD. He's getting treatment for PTSD.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's edited versions of the character. I love him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, he's awesome, but you're seeing edited versions of what it is. That's why I'm so blunt about this, about being, it doesn't have to be this saintly thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know. That's why I like you. Like, I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, he's just a dude being like, just cutting through the grease. And it's like, why, why doesn't that exist more? Like, what?
Well, you know what? There's people now that are doing what I'm doing. So there's kind of like a new wave of this that's gonna probably happen, right? I was just when I was reluctant as a speaker to speak all over again. I kind of like, you know, I burned a lot of bridges and I was a mess as a teacher. I did a lot of silly things, you know what I'm saying? And I regretted so much of it, right? So and I
Yeah.
was in suffering big time, right? Because it was just rough to be holding so much power in its position and everything and everybody's looking up to you like Adyashanti, you know what I'm saying? Or of these people and when it was getting out of hand, I just I just sabotaged everything.
Yeah.
I had to kill the character. I didn't even care at one point to look like the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Because I could not do it anymore. Because I noticed when I was spiritual teaching, kind of like what everybody's doing, or non-duality teaching, or no teaching doesn't matter. There were no people getting out.
I know. Like, I look like my mom's been in this for her whole life, like since I was
Yeah,
born,
yeah,
like just following and following.
yeah, yeah. And that's it's almost like a curse, right? If you see it, it's almost like when you seek, then there's a curse that you will never get there. There's
Yeah.
a lottery system now, like you know, then you become a bit more kind of like dedicated because I'm going to be the one that wakes up, that kind of thing. But that's just another carrot.
Oh, yeah. I'm so tired of the carrots.
Yeah, so there's no more next. If you eliminate the next, what's here?
I don't know, like everything and nothing. Like, I don't, this.
Yeah, what's between this and not this? The mind will try to say not this, right? But eliminate that because that's the next.
Every time you ask for what's in between, my mind just freaking goes berserk.
Yeah, of course. It's showing its irrelevance basically, right? Because the mind will try to go here. It's from
Yeah.
A to B, right?
So could like is this could another question be like what's the difference between frog and blue? Like
Yeah,
it seems like you're just asking a question that the mind can't answer.
I'm just being silly to be honest with you, right? Because I've tried many different ways of trying to, you know, and it still became a lottery system. You know what I'm saying? And like I would ask a whole bunch of questions, like the classical question. So this one is just what's between A and B is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's between two concepts? I don't know,
yeah,
another concept.
yeah. Yeah, it's what's between yeah, that's what it is. If you peel away all the language, what's left?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are you looking at without words?
Magic.
Yeah. Right? So we're kind of like we're overlooking the magic because we're so accustomed to the words that label them.
So accustomed.
So accustomed, like, you know, when I was seeking, even when I was a teacher, I meditated 4 or 5 hours a day, and
Oh,
and then when I went back, when there was already no more seeking, when there was clarity, I bawled my eyes because I was like, I haven't seen Vancouver. This is the first time I'm seeing it.
oh yeah.
Well, it is, right? Because we're caught up in YouTube videos and books and stuff like that. When every day should be a hiking day. You know what I'm saying? It's so
Yeah.
gorgeous, right?
Yeah, and then but there's still preference. That what caught me up a lot was there's still preference or this idea of preference. Like,
What do you without that belief?
oh,
Yeah. See?
no, yeah.
Yeah. Because I told myself I'm not an outdoors person,
Yeah, that comes
now
up.
now it's like, oh my goodness, I'm like outside, like trying to be outside like half of the day, basically, even when it's like freezing cold here. It's amazing. Even one day I was walking, it was really gray outside. And I started kind of like, because I didn't have any language, I was like, oh my goodness, how beautiful this gray is. It makes the contrast, the colors bright.
Is language like so language is literally doing that.
Yeah.
Language is upholding its own
It, yeah.
it's
If you kind of like, if you take away the words, it's the unspoken paradise.
it really is.
Yeah. It's like when you're thinking, it's like dystopian, you know. We have all of this wars. If you take away the words, it's almost like utopia.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right. In the immediacy of this all. Like I have been to I'm come from the Philippines, right? And
right.
there's a lot of poverty there. And the people are happy. They're kind of like, there's this kids that are diving for coins. So you would throw coins down the ocean and they would dive, and grab it, and they have a can of sardines and they're in heaven. And then here we are with, like, I don't know how much TikTok and Instagram influences our purchases. You know what I'm saying? Ads,
Yeah,
ads. You know what I'm saying?
I
And,
know.
and then if
Yeah.
and then if you think that you're not getting got into that, you're buying these spiritual ads, retreat here, um, right? You just bought into this spiritual materialism, and then
Yeah,
like the book,
still
you're consuming YouTube videos, and it's still consumption, right?
totally, but it's still part of it. Like it's still like I don't even like if there's no good and bad, then it doesn't matter if you're consuming or not consuming.
Doesn't matter. But what I'm just trying to say is that we're so it's not enough that we already have thoughts, we're consuming. Oh, there's nothing wrong or right about that. I'm just pointing out
Yeah.
is that we're overlooking the simplicity. You're like,
Big time.
yeah,
Big time.
yeah,
Huge.
huge,
Like,
right? It's like it's like my morning walks is the best entertainment for me now. It's like it's unbelievable, but to me that was so, like, I thought that I had to meditate so I could secure my
um,
peace and everything, right? So sitting in my room, for hours and hours, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just basically saying in the narrative, in the relative, right? I'm trying to go from relative to absolute when it's all, but you can't say already.
yeah, it's so true. And sometimes that part of you that enjoys like the really simple nothing, like the morning walks, whatever, before sometimes when you're still caught up in the thought, but you enjoy that, it's like you're in conflict because you're like, I love the simplicity, I love the nothingness, but I'm not supposed to, I'm not supposed to like it this simply. I'm supposed to want to go out and do exciting things and so there's like this suffering when you're not clear and yet
Yeah,
you want the
yeah,
simple thing.
yeah, and that's what it is, right? It's because like for example, it's and it starts when we're young, right? When the simplicity of things when we were kids. Like imagine those long summer days that it was all carefree and everything, and no care in the world, no concept of time. Um, and it was just beautiful. And
Yeah,
then
it was
we
so
started
beautiful.
learning about, what's wrong with us. If it's not enough, society tells us what's wrong with us, that kind of stuff. And then
Yeah.
we strive to, and then we encounter non-duality. You're like, oh, here it is, the solution. And then rather than making you feel great, it makes you feel stumped because there's a lot of intellectualization of what
Yeah.
this is from really, really great guys. You know what I'm saying? I can't fault them. Um, and you're like, well, how do I get there? How do I achieve that? Right?
Yeah.
When what you are without thinking is already perfection. But what you are already without the narrative is paradise. You're
Mm,
never separate from that. Like, for example, at this moment, without the language, what are you?
like I have no idea.
It's like infinite silence, right? And
Yeah.
that's the answer to the greatest mystery is here already. You just have to wait a second. Oh,
There is the belief that this is not gonna last still.
what are you without the next? What are you without that belief? What's between it's not going to last and it's going to last? The belief wants to take you to the next, right? So going into,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's beautiful, it's beautiful. I have people that click, like after like a couple of sessions, one session even. And there's people that have been seeking for like 30, 40 years, like your mom probably, right? It's like it's a longer thing. Um,
Yeah.
and again, everyone is unique. So comparison is a thief of joy. There's also some people that have been seeking for 50 years that gets it like one session. You're like, what? It's because it's like they have done everything, you know what I'm saying? And um it's here. It was never not here. You can also go what's in between here and not here. The mind wants to create a bookmark in the
Yeah.
infinite ocean, right? You can't bookmark an ocean. It's liquid.
I know, and you're still asking those questions, and it's like my mind goes and it goes, what's am I supposed to feel totally stumped? I mean, it's peaceful. It's really peaceful.
Yeah, it is really peaceful, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
it's the piece is basically it's almost like it's like I don't know if you've had those like old computers that is just full of like virus, and then it takes a long time to open up. It's full of apps and stuff like that, and you're like,
Yeah.
you can't, what? It's always shutting down. So you can like, I'm gonna reboot this, and you take it to computer shop or you do it, and it reboots, and everything is fresh again.
So such a good feeling.
Yeah, I know, but the virus will come. You know what? But there's an antivirus which is the in between. It will keep on coming. You know what I'm saying? It will keep on attempting. No computer is really virus free because it's always attacking, right? So the most someone just told me that I have tried everything, Emerson, but the in between is just it's like it ends all of the tricks basically. It's a trick to end all tricks basically.
It's a trick. I mean, it's
I
right.
admit, trick, yeah,
You're just trying to confuse people.
yeah. Because all they have is their mind. So what if I trick people to see that what's a mind?
It's such a good feeling to be confused and be like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, fine.
Yeah, yeah. I, because there's nothing further. There's a
Yeah.
different confusion when there's something that, like, if I tell you, now, Lana, you have to come into, you have to be the disciple, and you have to come into my sangha, and you have to be here for 10 years or something to get to my level. or it will take many different lifetimes for you to get here. No, it's all bullshit, right? It's all made up.
It's all it's all made up.
It's all made
And
up.
there are certain
It's also
things.
innocence, to be honest. Saying somebody believing that you have to do that, but
What's
what
that?
there's it's also, but I see everything as innocent, so I make fun of
Yeah,
that thing, but I
yeah.
see it as innocence because someone really believes that, and they're caught up in their narrative that it it's kind of like you can only go through this, get this through meditation. I did 10,000 hours. I thought meditation for 10 years. Nope. You know what, I thought I got it, and then I was suffering like nonstop, basically.
What was that suffering?
Oh my goodness, because there was always a next, there's always going to be like a Muji or Adyashan show.
Because
I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there yet. Um,
there's a suffering here if I think about the feelings that are coming up right now. Like they're not pleasant
yeah.
sometimes.
What if you unpeel that feeling was left?
Unpeel it.
Yeah, take away the word feelings,
Mm.
sensations.
Yes, sensations.
Take away the word sensations, what's there?
Well, I can't answer that.
There you go. So it snaps you out of that thinking, you know what I'm saying? Right away.
Yeah.
Right? It's not bypassed because you're really going directly to see what that is. It's not like, it's um because I used to have panic attacks, and
Oh
I used
yeah, me
to go
too.
into severe depression. So what happened was I just basically kind of like bravely, I'm like, you know what? Because before I would be like doing all my mantras, all of my meditation, going to this time around, what I'm saying? I'm just going to DJ. That's the freest place I can be, is DJing. So
Yeah,
the freedom of just DJing, because um what I love,
yeah.
and basically I went in between doing and not doing.
And then you just
And then all of a sudden I saw, I'm like, wait a second here. I can't find my thoughts. This is all happening by itself, that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, that's still a thought. I was just talking to someone that she's great. She's a great friend of mine now. She's had a laughing and crying thing. And then she said, I can't form sentences anymore. She would laugh at a thought,
I
right?
get that.
What's that?
I get that.
You got that right?
I mean, I totally see that.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any
it
freaking
doesn't.
sense.
One time I was looking at a word, I think it was like Wednesday, and I'm like, what is that word? It just looks so foreign, you know what I'm saying? It's just like switch
Oh
squint.
yeah.
I don't know if you've had that, right? It's just like, and then I'm like, one time I was like reading a book, and I was just like, what's going on here?
Oh, I have to read like a full chapter after this for book club tomorrow. It's gonna be like reading the alphabet. It's gonna be
That's right. Yeah. try, try, try eating an alphabet soup, and you're like, what the hell is, and it's just everything is made up. You look around, and everything that you're seeing is just your reality is based on a thought and a language.
Do you feel like lonely being here sometimes?
No, not at
Myself?
all. There was in the when I was more into the radical thing, I'm saying, more kind of like a when I had that nihilistic idea that there's no one here. I felt like, every time that I felt, this is so funny, I felt like slashing my wrist, and that kind of stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just so depressing, right? And I think at one point I was just got really suicidal. Um, and it's that neo advaita kind of like thing, right? And where everything just becomes kind of like, there's nothing happening, there's this is just all an illusion, this is it, and everything. And then the tendency is to come, well, if there's nothing that I can do, then what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you take away that narrative, take away the narrative, and basically come into this full on like directness, then you start seeing kind of like flowers that you've never seen before,
Right.
you know? Right. Or you discover, I don't know, like I go into a zone in music and I was like, oh my goodness, this new indie country thing is actually really good. Right. So it's beautiful, that kind of thing. And I was like, I had an aversion to country, so,
Yeah.
and then I was like, listening to this, I'm like, what the hell? Right. It's just
Yeah.
discovery after discovery, right? It's just like, or I'm like a child again, basically. I'm happy.
Um, yeah. Yeah. No, I want, I mean, I have a thought, which is like, I really hope this helps with my lack of career because I have not been able to land on anything because I'm like, it's so meaningless and I'll
Yeah,
never do it and
lose
I'll hate
that narrative that you will not have it just derails your life, right? Because if you start believing that, what, it's just there's no point to this, whatever.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I I wasn't like hard into spirituality, but like I've always struggled with career and like just landing on something because I'm like, nope, it's not perfect. Throw it out.
Yeah. And this one basically is, it's almost like, okay, this is just a narrative, of course, right? Don't
Yeah.
buy into it or anything. It's almost like whatever this is ultimately trying to find peace and just happiness. It's always bringing something to the forefront, right? And if you're at peace with it, then happens, keeps on happening. But when you're trying to kind of like say nope, 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 then it's a whole bunch of no's, basically.
It's just a bunch of no's.
Yeah. So for example, with this one, I was reluctant to be a speaker, but it just became one of those things that, what, so I did it. Someone could not make it as a speak. Someone was sick or something, and then I started speaking, and I'm like, oh my goodness, check me out, and and then I loved it so much that I started articulating it. Like I would go 5 days, talk about this for like three 2-hour sessions every day. Like I would do
Right.
it.
So there's joy. Like you can enjoy things
Oh,
that are meaningless.
I enjoy it. And that's why this evolved into this in-betweenness or directness, because there's joy,
Yeah.
right? Because honestly, when I started, right, it was more kind of like there's nothing to do, there's nothing happening. But you know what? I said, let's articulate this a bit more. Let's be more poetic about this. And then something broke through, and I was like, oh my goodness, okay. I wanted the audience to feel what I'm feeling because I look like an idiot just laughing by myself.
Yeah.
you know?
And I imagine this can be articulated
Yeah.
in, through anything, like through food, through
Thing.
photography, through comedy. Like there's no limit.
People don't even know it, but the people that are successful in what they do, what love what they do, are in a non-dual, life, basically, right? It's I if it's funny, right? Because I have a lot of artists, like musicians, that contact me, and also, you know, people that are in finance basically also contact me. Some people reach the top of life and there's something missing. Um,
Yeah.
but they get what I'm saying because they've been there. Like for a person that has done a concert, basically, right? They're like, how do I get back there? And I'm like, okay. Or some people lose their mojo or something. Um, and for me, like, when I admit, what, when I started as a spiritual teacher, I loved it very much, but it was short-lived because um I had to put on a costume now. I had
Yeah.
to be, I had to censor what I was doing. Like I remember one time I was just having one beer and then a person came to me, you should not be drinking beer. Everybody looks up to you.
Yeah.
At that time I was like thinking I'll be one of the first people that drinks beer, and there was just one beer. And so I went into kind of like
Yeah.
um complete opposite. Like I was just not vegan,
Yeah.
vegan, and then not drinking. Um, of course, when you do that, when you repress yourself so much, the rebound is high. So I kind of like when I thought that I had to destroy the character, I bought a pack of smokes, went partying, just
Yeah.
Grand Street, just and I was just like, I'm like, what's going on here? Right? So what I'm trying to say is that the more that you repress, it persists. There's nothing wrong with just being alive. There's nothing wrong with being messy sometimes.
I mean, I'm vegan and I don't drink, but like I also like that.
Yeah, and that's cool
Feels
too.
good.
If you like that, then there's nothing wrong with it, right? For me, it was I was forcing it. Like
Yeah,
it's
fair.
never enough, right? I was vegetarian, no, pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, raw vegan, and then I became fruitarian. I was only eating fruits that fell off the tree. Uh,
Yeah,
and then I became breatharian. So I'm an extreme character, basically, right? It's like I party or I can like go to the extreme. So I went in between, basically. I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay. I still love meat,
yeah.
the restaurant meat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I
Every
mean
time
so
I go there, I'm like, oh, I have to go to meat. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of my favorite ones. It's like the best comfort food ever. It's vegan, right? So
man, I remember Adia said something. It was like if everyone woke up, the world would be absolute anarchy, like insane insanity.
yeah,
And that's coming out now because it makes me think like if there's no good or bad,
yeah.
well then w- then what? Like
Well, what's between good and bad? Whatever's appearing is this. Yeah,
yeah,
true.
exactly.
Yeah, it's just gonna be the same. So that's just another
It's just
opinion
another
to
thought.
be honest with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just an opinion.
This is an opinion. Yeah,
It's really, yeah,
yeah. See, that's what I mean, right? So it's kind of like then you have this fear now that
yeah.
that I have to. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna start eating meat, that kind of thing. You don't have to, you know,
But it's okay if I do.
and it's okay if you do. But whatever it is, it's like if that's your bliss, you know, that's your bliss. If
So,
that's your peace. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So what, like, it's like, what do you like? So then do anything, right? Like, there's no wrong answer. Like, just do something. Like, I just need to
yeah.
make my, like, just live my life and I'll, you know, do the dumb things I want to do.
Yeah, you do some things. Yeah, and for me that was kind of like so because I was a saint for like 10 years or so, and then
Yeah,
one time this is one time I DJ'd and then I went home and my roommate goes, "Hey, can you buy me some beer at
yeah.
11 a.m.?" And I was walking down the street and someone yelled, "Degenerate!" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I love that. I haven't been a degenerate in my life, right? This feels
Oh,
good." Yeah.
yeah.
But what's between a degenerate and a saint, basically, right? Whatever seems to appear. They're just words anyway. And if you start noticing it, um, what's between choice and no choice?
Okay.
Yeah.
That one gets me because I hear people on your one-on-one say like there's no choice, there's no free will. And I'm thinking that can't be true. Like,
Oh, it's in between choice and no choice.
oh shit.
Yeah. Boo, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's trippy. That's wild.
It is. You know, you think that you're choosing, but what you're not thinking is there really a choice?
I love that. I love when you're like, gotcha.
I love it too. Because because we get stuck in these ideas, you know what I'm saying? And now it's everybody gets stuck in these ideas. Um, but it's going between when there's just, oh, you don't even have to say it. You're like, oh, it's quite simple, right? It's simple. The simple is like you don't even need language. But since we have basically screwed it up with a whole bunch of complexity, whatever this is, right? It's kind of like I like that song by Joni Mitchell. Don't you know you don't know paper, guys,
Yeah. No,
working a lot. Ooh, ba, ba, ba.
Yeah. Yeah. Great
So,
song.
so we pay paradise with language.
And it doesn't have to be so freaking heavy. Like
No,
it can be fun.
it can be fun.
It's allowed to be fun. And I sound like a person who's never had fun before. Like I live a very like I don't have a job. Like I've just been like I dropped out of my computer science degree. Like I used to work in chemistry, like and I was just like basically like hitting myself over the head every single day for not choosing this serious path. And I'm like, I just want to stream on Twitch and do photography and cook food and
Yeah,
all
and what if
this
that's
stuff
just
out
all
loud.
innocence, right? That's just because you think that you made some wrong choices and you think you're making the right choices. What if it's just all innocence? Everything is happening as it is,
Everything suddenly seems so fun.
right? Isn't it fun now?
Because I'm choosing for it to be fun. I could also be like, everything's miserable. It doesn't really matter.
Exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I'm saying. What's between choosing and not choosing?
You're right.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. I mean, right and not right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't matter. Language. So yeah, yeah, that's what happened to me is because I became this, you know, I was like in my mid 30s turning on 60.
Yeah, I'm 30, I'm 31 for
Yes,
reference.
that's around the time, like in my mid 30s that I became a teacher, basically, right? It's like here I was like, super fun guy, life of the party kind of thing, DJ. And then I thought there was something wrong with it. So I thought
Oh,
that I had to go to spirituality, which was great to be honest. I'm not going to discount it completely. When you have to meditate at 5 o'clock every morning and you stop drinking, kind of thing. Benefits, you can look at that. But when I went to the next level, when I wanted to go to the next level, the meditation was just a self-preservation mode,
yeah, totally.
character preservation mode of I have to be a saint, oh, I have to meditate, you know. Um, I would be invited to someone's house and they would be partying or whatever, and they would like catch me in the morning at 5 o'clock meditating in the bathroom. That kind of like it. Or my friends would be like, what the hell is going on, Emerson? Um,
Yeah, yeah, or something. You either get what the hell or you get wow, good for you. You know what I mean?
yeah, good.
Wow.
Yeah, how do you
Yeah.
how do you
How do
do
you do that? Yeah.
do that? Like, oh, discipline.
Well, yeah, you go, yeah, it's hard, but it's the only way that I feel good or feel peace or you got to do it. And it's like,
Do it, yeah. And it's of course, like, Vancouver has like a million yoga teachers and spiritual teachers,
woo, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, it's part of the
Everybody's
lifestyle.
one-upping each other, like, um,
Yeah,
in a world of a yoga teacher, just be you, be unique, be fun.
be unique. Like, be
Be,
freaking unique. Have
be fucking unique, right?
fun. Like, live life. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. And that's what was with me, right? I'm like, oh my goodness, I bought into this. I wanted to conform, right? Here I am in the authority of spirituality and non-duality as a slave to it, basically. If you look at it, right? You became a slave to it. The
Yeah, I
ideals
was
and
fighting against it. I became a slave to it. My entire life has been a conflict of being a slave to it and pushing against it and self-flagellating and then
yeah,
conforming and then repeating.
welcome to my story. It's the same
Isn't it?
narrative as a seeker, right? It's like you want to be able to break free from the confines of the oppressive, religion and everything, only to land into another oppressive thing. Kind of like when you said that the world is going to be anarchy if everybody wakes up. Come on, man. I love Shanti, but that's
Yeah,
just
no, it's and it is so innocent because it's just a belief.
and
Like
he's a great guy. Yeah,
just a kid
yeah.
too.
He's just a kid. Everybody's a kid here.
Everybody's a kid. Nobody knows anything.
Yeah, isn't that great? But some kids pretend that they know things.
Oh yeah, the big kid's my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one time actually, I had just a vision. It's hard to tell. You don't have to. It's just a story.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I saw. I was in a cab, and there was this big fog, you know what I'm saying? And I saw the original kid. The original kid was lonely, so it created, mirrored a whole bunch of different kids, and then it created this language, and they were happy, and then the language became my language. So they all separated with different language. But without the language, when the fog lifted, there was no more language. Does that make any sense? It's like the kids, it's just a kid's tale, this language. It's a kid's story. It's a
Yeah,
story about I'm better, you're not.
it
Right? When
is.
they
It does
created
make sense.
language, it's like, let's pretend that we have language so that we can be better or worse. You're like, okay. So they created this language, and also this language was like, I'm better than you because my language is everything. It's all made up. We're
It's
like
all
little
made up.
kids. We're little kids.
Yeah. So
We're
what
innocent
so what
little
do
kids.
you go outside and you see someone carrying a briefcase and looking at their watch and they're like a businessman, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be late for work." And like that's
That's
hilarious.
that's how I felt, when I was a spiritual teacher, right? So I was like in my little laments and my mala beads and my
Oh yeah, yeah.
right. I'm like walking down
Yeah.
the street. I'm like, look how enlightened I am, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was kidding myself. It's like a plain dress up, right?
Yeah.
I'm playing dress up as a spiritual teacher that talks about freedom when I was in shackles. I was in shackles. That was a trap. Being this spiritual teacher, saying and denying, you know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
Negating all of the fun stuff because you're like, now I'm gonna dress up as serious because I'm better than you. And I'm gonna listen to what I say, right? Because I've found liberation.
Yeah.
And although I have trauma, that kind of thing, and I just want to be liked. You know what I'm saying? It's just the same patterns over and over and over again, right? Because and then you think that, and it's still feeding that I'm not enough when you become a spiritual teacher.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And that's what I'm talking about myself, right? It was my way of being liked, right? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
likes me, I'm a fun kid, and no one likes me. So I'm going to be the best kid ever. I'm going to be enlightened. Everyone's going to like me. And then
Yeah.
everybody likes you until you fuck up, basically. You're just being a kid, innocently fucking up. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of like one day you want to party, or one day you just one of those things that you get out of that thing, or one day you get sick and tired of playing dress up with the same robes over and over again. So you let go of that robe and you just kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Shambhala, you know what I'm saying? Go to
Sure. Yeah.
oh, this is all spiritual, by the way. So you're convincing yourself. Oh, saying it's just be alive, be free.
Yeah.
It,
Or
this
being
is
in a
such a beautiful, beautiful appearance of life, right? And we have a limited time, right? Um, and this is just a story. Somebody asked me, if you do you have any regrets? I'm like, not really, but I wish this happened to me when I was 18.
yeah, sure. Right.
Right?
Would it have made a difference?
I got so
Probably not.
serious after 18. I'm like, oh, I'm an adult now. Oh my goodness, right? But there's really, if you notice it, the narrative, the narrator is the same age as when you were young. It
It,
hasn't changed, isn't it?
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. And I think that's the biggest thing is like there's still love for things. There's still love around concepts. There's still like,
Yeah, it's
yeah, I
okay.
love that, you
It's
know?
okay. Some people always send me these different videos of different. I don't really watch anything anymore, but once in a while, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like the way that it's explaining it. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? I see it now. I see the innocence of everything, right? There's no competition or whatever. Like, but I'll call it out, saying like, okay, you know what? That's someone playing dress up.
Yeah.
Because I did that, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. I enjoyed it until I couldn't.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
stepped down, you know what I'm saying? Um,
You
because
sit
it's
down.
like you can't maintain something that you are not.
No,
You know?
that feels impossible.
Yeah. So the reason that you want into improv is because you want to explore freedom. And that's what
True.
it is.
That is what it was. Yeah. Like absolute spur of the moment.
Yeah.
whatever comes to mind,
Be me
freedom.
again, you know what I'm saying? Talk about taboo stuff, right?
And fail
Be
in front of
wild,
people. Be a total mess. Like
be
just
a total
be,
mess, have a breakdown, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Say,
You know,
yeah.
and that's what happened to me. I had a complete like failure as a spiritual teacher, right? I was just a mess, right? Because here I was, it's like not only I felt like I was just playing dress up and conning myself basically, and no one's getting out being free, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even free. So what the hell am I talking? Why am I in this position? And there's
Yeah.
a lot of speakers and teachers that are still in their addictions, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Still in their own egotistical whatever. There's nothing wrong with it. But at the
Mhm.
same time, but they played this part now that there's no me or there's no self, and so they're playing a dress up, right? And they can't even you'll ask question, they'll answer vaguely, you know what I'm saying? To go
Yeah,
like,
that's not like what they're doing is just a fun little story. It's like
I
they're
did that too, saying, you know what, and that's why I'm making fun of it because I did that, right? I'm fully I love that whole spectrum of what happened to me, right? It's just like it's
yeah.
but you know what I love doing is one-on-ones because I know, what I'm saying, and this is just a story as well, that you're going to be free from this.
Yeah, it's what's the difference between
After this talk, it's like, I'm gonna buy this new book by whatever. No, you're gonna like, it's all made up. It's all language.
it's all language. I mean, spiritual teachers are just artists writing a verbal book. Like they're just
Yeah, yeah, that's what it
not,
is. And you know
yeah.
what? And they're all copying each other, right? It's all like it's
Yeah.
all just like it's all regurgitated stuff, right? I've heard this, and even thinking that someone's original is not really original.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
I
that's true for everyone.
Yeah, I love what I do because I stick out like a sore thumb and good
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is what freedom is, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
what's the point of finding liberation when you're just copying someone's words, when you're not even being authentic, saying when you're just regurgitating the books of this, the scriptures.
Oh, boring. Like
No.
what? I mean, that sounds boring to me. Maybe they like it. Mm.
It's innocence, you know what I'm saying? That's what people like, apparently. But being an improv person, right, you're off the cuff, you're off, you're in the moment, you're in this directness all the time, right? You'll come up, with this stuff that comes from the ether.
If I was, that'd be great. I mean, yeah, if I don't get attacked by anxiety,
Yeah, yeah.
but oh, like if I
What do
was
you
like
do
this on
next?
stage,
What do you do
oh,
next? And even if you fail miserably, you'll laugh at it. Right?
yeah,
Because you'll come up with a skit that's just so out of this world. You're like, oh my goodness, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah.
I actually love it when someone there was this dude, I love him. Um, we were working at I was a corporate trainer at the Ford Motor Company, and there's this guy that he invited everybody. He was so confident to yuck yucks, like a comedy show, basically,
Yeah.
right? Improv, like a brand new. So he rallied up the whole office to see him, right? He was so bad. But I loved it. I love that courage, you know what I'm saying? To be that
Yeah.
and to invite everybody, and everybody's like, oh, what the hell?
Right.
That's what life is, right?
Yeah.
It's just that spontaneous combustion, this explosion of whatever seems to appear without the narrative of like, I'm gonna suck or not. So he sucked.
Yeah.
How many of the people in the audience would go in the front to do that? Not
Yeah. No, exactly. Right.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what you can't expect what's going to happen.
No, no, he was so bad.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there.
So, but everybody's been there, saying it's like um that's what this appearance is full of conflicts and all that kind of stuff. Revel in it. It's full of contradictions and everything. But at the same token, if you lift all the words, it's paradise.
So you just be, there's no next steps. It's just
It's just it's,
okay.
it's just beingness between being and not being. Boom.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm gonna stop the recording.